Hi y'all, I got some new product. I wanted to try it out, but I also wanted to talk to you guys about 12 things I'm leaving behind to become the person I wanted to be. Um, Mostly because I feel like around this time of year, everybody always wants to upload something about like 12 things they're leaving behind for the new year, and I just don't feel like that's enough. I think we need to do more evolution, and just doing it for the cases of the new year is just not enough. So, these are 12 things I'm going to be leaving behind, as well as um, a new makeup look, I guess. I'm just trying out new things. I just want to try out something new. Try to come up with a new classic, new signature. Um, yeah, so let's get into it. All the products will be listed below, as well as details on my jewelry and what I'm wearing. So, like, yeah, let's dive right in. Ooh. Mm. Do I, do I look nice and hydrated? Okay, perfect. One of the major things I personally think that I'm leaving behind this year is a fear of being perceived. I have this like humongous fear of always like being seen by people. I think it's mostly because I feel like when people can see you, they have the option to misconstrue what you're doing, who you are, what you say. And for me, I don't like people to misunderstand me. It triggers me when people misunderstand me. So I feel like for me, I have to find a way to like show who I am without being so scared that people are going to go out of their way to misunderstand me, because people are always going to go out of their way to misunderstand you every single time. I also feel like me this year, I want to leave behind like my self destruction and like my self destructive habits. I have a tendency to do a lot of self abandonment, self betrayal, and even like self sabotage. And so I want to realize that like I am like fully safe within my body, and I actually don't have to like consider ways to do that all the time. Like that's so completely unnecessary considering the amount of ops I already have. Like why help them out when you could just make things harder for them by having such a solid base within yourself? Like you're not even going to be like taken out by that. So I'm trying to do that. I feel like I'm also leaving connections that don't provide me with like, my goodness, this is out now, that don't provide me with like the absolute bare minimum. I feel like for me personally, the way that I see a lot of my relationships, like I expect consistency, I expect kindness, I expect care, consideration, and above all, like support. I just don't feel like I get that in a lot of my relationships with people. And I tend to stay like, even when I'm not feeling fulfilled, because I'm like, oh, I feel like I could just do a little bit more to make this a little bit more worthwhile. But like truthfully, girl, like are you trying to make it worthwhile for them, or are you trying to prove your self-worth? Again, is you staying in connections that don't serve you, is that really you trying to like stand on ground and stand your business and use your boundaries? Or is it you like, is it you fighting, or is it you being complacent with begging? Are you, I mean, if you like to beg, that's cool. I'm not going to hate on you for begging. But is that you being complacent with begging? I'm asking. I'm not trying to fight you. Listen. These questions are to me. These are the questions I wrote in my journal. So if it's hitting you too hard, I'm so sorry. But like, why are you begging? Why are you begging people to have care, consideration, um, like support and kindness towards you, and then begging them to be consistent on top of all of that? Why? What's going on? Also, not to be really mean, but like to my last point, my dog provides me the bare minimum. I know your dog does too. Consistency, kindness, caring, supportive, consideration. Yeah. So imagine these people, like friendships, romantic, familial, these people are not even doing as much for you as your dog. Do with that information what you will. Thank you very much. And to my last point, we've got to start leaving behind people who think that like the bare minimum, those 5 pillars I mentioned, are too difficult, because that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say out loud to people that you say you care about. That is a really bizarre thing to say. It is very bizarre to say something like that, especially when you know more specifically how that bare minimum and the lack of that bare minimum could affect somebody in your life, because you know how it affects you. So like, for people to say like, oh, I just don't have the bandwidth to do that right now with you, like You don't have the bandwidth to be caring, kind, and considerate. I mean, like, that's cool. If you don't have the bandwidth, I got the tism. I understand. I'm not gonna yell at you about it. But for you to say that you don't have the bandwidth to like even grant a little bit of care and consideration to people you say that you care about, we could just wrap this up. We could wrap it up very swiftly, immediately, dare I say, because that's a crazy thing to say to people that you say you care about. That's really crazy. That's really bizarre. Because love takes sacrifice. And I'm not talking about like ride or die sacrifice. You are like the 18th baby mama. I'm talking about like real sacrifice. Like showing up when you don't think you can. And that's whatever. I'm also leaving behind imposter syndrome that's like perpetuated by my negative self-talk. I've been trying to work on my negative self-talk for years now, and I feel like every year I get a little bit closer, but then I do something really silly and I end up like being very disrespectful to myself. And it's one thing to have imposter syndrome because you're like, oh, I'm not as good as I could be. It's another thing to have your imposter syndrome because you think that you're not good. And that's kind of like a very bizarre place to put yourself in because it's almost as if you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to try, if that makes sense. And I just feel like we can all be a little bit kinder to ourselves when it comes to that. Me especially because my negative self-talk is pretty cruel, not gonna lie to you. And it's been that way for a while, but we're going to fix that. All right, we're gonna fix that immediately. And I also feel like I'm going to be leaving behind my need to like super duper over explain. There's no need to over explain. Either they're going to get it or they're not going to get it. And whether or not they want to get it has nothing to do with me. I explained it. I'm a very clear person. I don't lie to people. So it's a very like kind of concerning thing to me when people don't understand where I'm coming from or when people want to assume that like I'm doing things maliciously because I tell you when I'm doing things maliciously. I'm a very clear person. That's my favorite part about being so in tune with who I am is that my astrology doesn't really lie. And when it comes down to it, I am very clear about who I am and what I want and my intentions and everything that's going on. But like when it does come down to it, I will be very cutthroat because I don't like to repeat myself. I don't feel like I should ever have to repeat myself. If I'm saying that it's XYZ, it is XYZ. So the fact that I want to come through and find new ways to over-explain myself just means that I'm trying to fight to show some sort of validation and to prove that I'm worthy. And there's no reason for me to sit there and prove that I'm worthy to somebody who doesn't. Either they're going to believe that I am or they're not. So why am I begging? Again, why am I begging? Why am I begging? I don't like that. I really don't like that. I'm also leaving behind my apologies. Not too much, but enough just for me to be pretty clear with people about who I am and what I want and what I expect out of them. I'm always apologizing to people who, again, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it or they don't want it. And I shouldn't have to feel the need to do that with people who didn't even have the audacity to tell me I did something wrong. And if you didn't tell me I did something wrong, then I'm not going to sit here and justify it. I am very clear. When I tell people that they're doing something I don't like, I make a face. I tell them to their faces. I explain to them. We have whole conversations. It will take so much time to get through all those conversations. But something that I know is that even when I'm having those conversations with people, I'm still very transparent that I love them and it's coming out of a place of love and concern. It's not coming out of a place of me being malicious because there's just no need to be malicious. We don't have to do that. That's very low bar. I don't like that. I don't like how normalized that has become. For people to just be malicious to people, it's very embarrassing. Like they should be more embarrassed for acting like that. Like it's kind of humiliating, girl. Like why would you do that? Anyways, ew. You see how I just did that face? Yeah, I think that shows that like I'm, you know what I mean? Like you understand. We're on the same page of how I feel because I made a face. Exactly. So do with that what you will. Mini break to do a shout out to Sachu eye paints. I've never used these before and I do want to try them. They say you could just use your fingers, so if I do look crazy. All right, thank you very much. Also leaving behind stressful situations that are going to lead to like burnout or stress because every single time it triggers either a mental health episode for me, like either it triggers my anxiety or it triggers a chronic illness flare up. And I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not doing that. I'm not paying for that because I can't sue the people who do that to me. So why would I be spending my money to go to the hospital to deal with something that I don't really want to have to deal with? Anyways, I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. Not the biggest fan of the entire situation. So I try very hard to not like have to do that or end up in situations where that's like necessary, because it's just gonna annoy me like really bad. And I don't want to be annoyed. I just want to have a real fun life, living with my friends, having a good time with my family. Like, life is short. Why would I spend my time in life getting into beef with people who don't even want to try to understand me? Seems pointless. I'm also leaving behind the idea that I have to be perfect before I actually do anything, and that's not fair to myself. Half the times I was ever really successful is because I just did it without thinking about it. So what good service would it ever be doing to myself right now if I sat here and I was like, oh, I have to flesh out every detail before I actually jump? Girl, just jump. Jump, jump. It's going to be easier because the more you fail, and I like to fail. I feel like I've learned all of my best lessons failing. I've built up so many different versions of myself from scratch. I genuinely feel like nothing could ever keep me down. And so why would I, one, fuel my imposter syndrome with negative self-talk, and then two, why would I decide to literally continue to doubt myself and create an environment where it's perfect for me to just say, oh, I can't do anything because I'm not perfect at it yet? That doesn't help anybody, and it for sure doesn't help me. So yeah. I'm also going to be leaving behind the idea that everyone is always going to disappoint me. That is the saddest like mentality I've ever had in my life, and the fact that I've always maintained it is like super upsetting to me, because it means that I'm always in a position to be disappointed by somebody, or when they do prove themselves, like I'm always putting them through some sort of unknown subconscious test where I'm like waiting just to be like, yep, and there's my proof, you're a loser. And that doesn't help me foster any relationships that actually matter. It just keeps me in a position of like blocking my own blessings because I'm just waiting for somebody to fuck up. And it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me, and it's not fair to what the potential of that relationship could be if I actually tried and actually believed in them. Because if I'm not believing them, here I am breaking one of my 5 pillars of actually being supportive. I need to support the idea that this could be successful. I need to support the idea that this is not a waste of my time. I need to support the idea that this will not hold me back. Especially when I know for a fact that I have already done all my due diligence, and there's no need for me to double down and triple down on the fact that somebody could potentially in the future, maybe, possibly, eventually, soon, maybe, who knows, fuck up. That's not fair to them. Imagine how happy your life would be if you were always prepared to receive joy and not prepared to be disappointed. Oh, all right. All right. I'm also leaving behind the idea that I don't have strong discernment. I do have strong discernment. It's just the fact that like I'm fighting my discernment actively all the time with the idea that it might sound a little contradictory to my last point, but I'm combating my discernment with the repeated notion of always trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt through my own naivety. Because the thing is that, and the big difference is that my discernment I know is very well, but because I'm always apologizing for myself, disregarding my boundaries, forgetting my own standards, my naivety allows me to give people more the benefit of the doubt, because I think that my anxiety is not, I wasn't discerning my anxiety from my gut wrenching feeling that I would get when I meet people. You know the difference. But in therapy, you learn that, like, hey, like sometimes due to trauma, the constant existence of your like alarm bells going off all the time doesn't let you like really fully realize when people are not that good for you, if that makes sense. Because I'm always so concerned about the situation, I'm not granting myself enough grace to realize, like, hey, that feeling in your tummy, that's not anxiety. I know you think just because you're anxious, it's anxiety. It's not. That's alarm bells. You got to pay attention. And so I think for the next year, I'm going to honor my childlike wonder and wanting to have relationships with people that are supportive and fulfilling. But I'm also going to honor the fact that I have to be aware that people might not always have my best interest at heart, and I might have to just put them through a little bit more of a vetting process before I let them get super close to me. And that's okay. That's all right. Guess one of the last things I am leaving behind for this person that I am trying to become, this better version of myself, I'm going to be leaving behind more so the fact that, like, I don't need to control everything. I just need peace. And my proximity to peace only comes through my agency in wanting to control my peace. I need to control my peace. I don't need to control other people's actions. I need to say, hey, this is an action that they wanted to do, and maybe that action's good for their peace. However, it's not good for my peace, so I just need to protect my peace. And maybe I just need to see that as seeing myself out. You know what I mean? But regardless, I won't really know how that will be if I don't allow people to live their lives. I can't control how other people live their lives. And that's a really hard lesson sometimes. I guess I could say, all things considered, I am very proud of myself. Where I am now, where I came from, who I am now. I especially think that, like, I would not have ever been able to create a life that I have built for myself without being as fearless and tenacious and bold as I have been. And I feel like for myself, that's very, like, it's kind of like a jarring thing to think about, because everything really could have been so different if I never took a chance on myself and just said, girl, I don't care. Who cares what these people are, what these people think? Half these people don't even know me. And the other half I genuinely just met. So they're learning who I am the same way I'm learning who I am. So yeah. I think the funniest thing for me is the fact that I've always tried to change my makeup up, and I've always come up with the same exact makeup look. So let's do it with the glasses, girl. Very glowy, very pretty. Those are all the 12 things I'm leaving behind to become everything that I've ever wanted, because we have way more agency than we think we do. And the only thing usually preventing us from taking our agency is us. So I hope you get out of your own way this year, next year, this year actually, so you can get used to being out of your own way. But remember, you are the pillars of your own support. If you're not treating yourself well, then nobody else is going to treat you well too. So I'll see you soon.